As a parent of kids in youth sports, I've seen firsthand how poor coaching, overcompeting, and negative sidelines can crush a kid's love for sports. That's why I recommend KLC Method Basketball. Coach Cam focuses on fundamentals, confidence, and true player development. No politics, no favorites, just real growth. If you have a K through 12th grader who wants to start or level up their game, give Coach Cam a call. KLC Method Basketball, where kids learn, grow, and fall in love with the game. Get started with Cam by clicking the link below. On Into the Mindset, we are all about protecting what matters most, and that includes your safety and your time. Fall is just around the corner, and with it comes leaves, clogged gutters, and dangerous ladder climbs. Freedom Gutter Covers gives you a lifetime no-clog guarantee, so you'll never have to risk a fall or clean your gutters again. Let us install your covers today so you can focus less on chores and more on faith, family, and freedom to be a healthier you. Click the link below to get a free quote today. And don't forget, type in Into the Mindset to get 5% off. Welcome to Limitless Living Into the Mindset, the podcast that dives into the heart of growth, grit, and what it really means to keep moving forward. Darin, this is your time. You've been a guest host, but now we're all about you today. So Darin Robinson, Freedom Homecrafters. And I don't know, I'm excited. I'm ready to kind of get into this, talk about Freedom Homecrafters a little bit, but more of talk about you and kind of your view on life and leadership and being a boss, but not really wanting to be considered a boss or owner. You like to say that?
Yeah, that's right.
So let's start. We've kind of talked about Freedom Homecrafters a little bit, but let's start at the beginning. How did Freedom Homecrafters become Freedom Homecrafters?
Well, back in 1989, my dad had worked for another local supply company selling siding and windows. And that company started, this is back in, like I said, 89, but there was no large supply houses local. So we had to go to St. Louis to pick anything up. So anytime they sold a job, they were driving all the way to St. Louis, picking up a job, bringing it back. Well, the owner of the company decided, hey, if I'm going to be doing this, why I'm not trying to pick up other people's materials on the way and help pay for my trip. So they started basically wholesaling the materials back along the I-44 corridor. And along with that, people that were buying from that company and they were installing as well, were like, well, we don't want to buy from people who are also out selling or, installing against us. So the owner of the company at the time decided to go to wholesale material only. Mm-hmm. And then that's how we got started. We took over some of the crews, some of the equipment, and that's how we got our kickoff. So became Robinson Siding at the time. I was still in the military during that time. And then by the time I got out of the military, my dad's like, I could really use a hand with this business. And, I'll put you in wherever I can to help out and take over. So that's where I got started after I got back from the military. And I think it was 1993-ish. But that's how we got started. And over the years, the different products that we installed grew. Our list of customers grew, and then their needs grew. So we went from Robinson Siding to Robinson Siding and Windows, and then Robinson Siding and Windows and Sunrooms. Mm-hmm. And then we just decided around 2012 that our letterhead was getting a little too long. So we went to a more encompassing name, Freedom Homecrafters, because it encompasses a lot of things that we do. At the time, we were doing a lot of remodeling and roofing and siding, windows, decks, and just a lot of interior baths and kitchen work as well. So that's basically how we kind of stair-stepped into where we're at now.
Yeah, that's when it became Freedom Homecrafters. And what's interesting about that is, if you don't know, I also work for Freedom Homecrafters. And whenever I first came into the company, I remember kind of laughing about little jabs here and there of the superhero logo. and everything, and kind of thought it was just that. Darin has some, comic book thing when he was a kid and
Right.
just wanted to continue that on. But of course, the more I got to know you and everything, the more the freedom part of that really stood out. So I want you to kind of get into that a little bit more as far as like why the freedom of Freedom Home Crafters.
Well, years ago, before we named it Freedom, I obviously being in the military, it means a lot because I do stand for the veterans, and I appreciate anybody that served, and the people that died for our country, for our freedom. And I do feel like for our company, Freedom had just a ring to it because you could have freedom from having to paint your house once you sided, or freedom from high energy bills by installing new replacement windows, freedom from losing sleep at night thinking your roof's going to leak because you put a new roof on.
Mhm.
So along that line, it just kind of blended together, and we've grown it to mean several different things for us. And I also just love the idea that um, we are free, as a country, and that what we have to offer for who we are as a company and what we do for the community and the things that we're involved in, I just feel like it has a nice hold to it. So
Yeah, and that's kind of after learning that side of it and everything, as we go into some of the marketing and stuff like that we do, really try to channel that and really try to focus in on all of that. And the cool thing about Freedom Home Crafters is it is a local company. You were, when did you weren't like born and raised here?
I was born and
Were you
raised
born and
here,
raised here? Okay,
actually.
I couldn't remember if you guys had moved here later. So you're born and raised here. A lot of the staff
Right.
that's up there is born and raised here. So still here, we're still feeding in the community. We're still trying to help it grow and doing these things as part of the community. We shop at the same store as everybody else. So when people think of contractor, they think of they're going to try to screw me over. Essentially, they're going to do this, do that, and it's like we are not really allowed to do that because you're going to see us again. You're going
Right.
to see us at
Right.
the football game. You're going to see us at Walmart. You're going to see us, eating out, and so we really try to do the best we can for our customers because we know we're going to see them again.
Absolutely. Well, and again, it helps you sleep at night. You don't want to have to worry about whether or not you did a project right,
Mhm.
or, as a homeowner, if you don't know the contractor you're dealing with, they're only as good as the company. The warranties are only as good as the company. So
Right.
if the company goes under, or if they're not around, or we call it break life warranty, if they leave and then never call back, or you never know how to get a hold of them.
Yeah.
We've had the same office for almost 30 years, the same
Mhm.
building. And so for us, it means, hey, you can come see us, you can stop in, you can, you know,
And I know you so well outside of, Freedom Home Crafters too. So, I see you as a friend and everything. So I kind of miss some of the subtle things that's involved with Freedom Home Crafters. But just this morning, it was very evident how long you've been doing this because we had somebody walk into the shop with just this raggedy piece of siding, and you immediately were like, "Oh yeah, that's this color, this brand, this," like you just
right,
knew it off
right,
the top of your head.
right.
And I remember he was like, "Oh wow, you really know your stuff." You're like, 30 years worth of it.
yeah, yeah, it's pent up knowledge. It's useless for the most part, but when you need it, it's there.
When you need it, it's there. Yeah.
So
Yeah. But I think that that's super important. We have, the storm chasers that come in, companies that really don't know the town. They just come in and they try to get as many jobs as they can. And then, like you said, they're kind of the brake light contractors. And it's like with you, you're here, you know your stuff. You've been doing it for a long time. You don't plan on stopping anytime soon. So you're still trying to do the best that you can
right,
for the community.
right. And
for the
my
people in the
dad's
community.
83 years old, and every day he shows up, and
Does.
he is very well, like the guy that brought that raggedy piece of siding in. He goes, "I used to work with your dad at Dewar Johnson's, however
Yeah.
many years ago,"
Yeah.
and he goes, I see him around town all the time. So, again, being seen in the community,
Mhm.
and my dad might have his places like Hardee's or places that you can count on it being,
Yeah.
but being seen in the community is definitely, it's a staple of being out there, and he's very much rubbing shoulders and just enjoys that part of it too.
Yeah, he is in the shop every day. He is trying to do something every day if he's out with our crews or just mowing around the shop or whatever it is. But I think it was you a few weeks ago. I can't remember what exactly you called it, but it was like the Breakfast Club or whatever. Like, he is very much a part of the Breakfast Club, and he's going to do that. That's kind of that semi-retired life, I guess.
That's right.
Like,
yeah, everybody knows you. Kind of like Cheers when you walk into donut shop, and hey, everybody,
Yeah, so he does that, but I think that has its own benefit for the company itself because he is out there rubbing shoulders and talking to people and everything. So
yeah, absolutely. Even
really
Saturday, I just happened to be at the office dropping off some stuff, and car pulls up beside me, and I'm looking at him, and this little Asian lady gets out, and this older man, and he goes, "Do you remember us? Do you remember us?" And I'm like, just give me a little bit of a heads up. And they're like, "Oh, we live in Sunroom." I was like, "Oh yeah, we did a sunroom for you 20 years ago." They go, "Yeah, how's your dad?" First thing they ask, "How's he doing? What's he doing?" So, it's great to, again, these people they had a friend that wanted some work, and they literally just drove by to talk to us to see about if we still do that type of thing. So they could pass our name off to their friends. So I thought that was pretty great.
It's I'm somebody who doesn't like to, but I can admit when I'm wrong. And whenever I first started working at Freedom, I was like, this young guy that was like, I'm going to change the world on how all of this works and everything. And you kept saying, hey, word of mouth, word of mouth, word of mouth. I'm like, no, it's all Google and Facebook and everything now and stuff like that, which a lot of it is, yes.
Right, and now it's podcast.
Yeah, now it's podcasting. But you're like, don't skip on word of mouth, though. We still need to make sure that we're treating people right, and we, all this stuff because word of mouth. And now, as we have, all the analytics come flooding in because we could track all that now, it's still word of mouth is our number one way that we still get leads, we still get projects and things like that. And being a 35-year company, there's a lot of people out there that
we have a lot of repeat customers, people that moved. Well, like the guy that came in today goes, I used to live on Mount Rose, and you guys did my gutter back, 20 plus years ago. I don't know if you remember, because I think you were just a wee little kid. And I'm like, well, no, I was already out of the military for a few years. So I wasn't that little, it wasn't like I started my dad's shoe straps, but but it's, again, this is 3 instances in 2 days worth of time that, people are like, oh, I remember when, so, and we've got file cabinets. My dad was always adamant about keeping the files of everybody's jobs. So if we ever needed to know what color it was or what style material,
there's one wall of your office that's just
nothing
file
but
cabinets.
file cabinets.
And not like the 2, they're like the 6
Yeah,
drawer.
right. The tall ones, Exactly.
Which earlier when you were talking about, we need to get some emails and get into CRM and stuff like that, I was like looking at all the files.
Right,
like,
right.
I don't want to
there's
do that.
a year's worth of work.
Maybe, yeah.
A little carpal tunnel.
Yeah. So kind of, I want to stay on Freedom, and then I'm going to get in a little bit about just you and your personal life and stuff a little bit. But if for somebody who is just kind of starting out within the construction world, for some of these kids that are graduating out of, tech school or even high school and wanting to get into the industry, what is kind of your biggest piece of advice for them?
Right now, the skills are a dwindling commodity, to be honest with you. There's a lot of baby boomers that are, getting ready to retire. They're not going to be doing this. And I feel like it's wide open for anybody who can learn the skill set and follow through with what they say they're going to do, show up, be that kind of a person. Then I feel like the world's wide open for them. They could go places with any construction based product, honestly.
Yeah, because I know in the industry there's the ups and downs, but I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's ever been a year of you guys doing this that you were like, oh, construction's it's just going away. We don't need
Mhm.
construction anymore.
Right,
Obviously, we still need people that are capable of doing that.
right, right.
And it does seem like it's kind of dwindling as far as people who are either wanting to or that are skilled enough to go into the industry.
Absolutely.
But
And
there's
if
still a
you,
lot of money in it.
there,
And
well, I mean, if you own a house, you're gonna have some type of maintenance along the way.
right.
I don't care, even if you built a new house 10, 15 years down the road, there's always some type
Hmm.
of maintenance that's going to be needed.
Yeah. So I think, if you're good working with your hands, and it's not hard to learn these things. It's pretty easy to train them as long as you have some common sense.
I feel like anybody can do it. It's just
Yeah.
maybe not do it right. So, and there's a lot of really great contractors, and then
Mhm.
there's a lot of really not great contractors.
Right.
And it's hard to decipher because they all talk the talk, and
Yeah.
it's always in the
Yeah.
the proof's in the pudding when you're done. We're not perfect. We just try to make it
Mhm.
right. So
Yeah. I always try to tell people, I'm like, look, I'm not saying you have to go with the most expensive, but you should definitely question the cheapest.
right, this is true. Well,
There's
and
a
it's like
reason that
anything. I mean, I went to Price Tires the other day, and they were twice. Well, they weren't twice, but they were probably another
Mhm.
$400 or $500 higher than what I had done the last time for the exact same tire. But I was looking at other ones, thinking, "Oh, maybe I'll save some money." Well, if I could, I would have to maybe replace them twice
Yeah.
for going with the cheaper one versus
Mhm.
going with the better one and knowing the quality that I was going to be getting. So
Yeah, and when it comes to, construction, especially exterior, where one thing is off, it could cause this waterfall of all these other things to happen. So uh, we were on a job yesterday, and the homeowner mentioned, yeah, that gutter kind of leaks a little bit. So I mentioned to our guy, I said, hey, just check that, make sure it's tilted correctly,
mhm.
that way for it to drain and everything correctly and stuff like that, because it's completely clean, but the homeowner says it leaks and everything and stuff like that. And just making that little adjustment is going to help them tremendously, because if they
Right.
didn't, now you have fascia repair, you have roof repair, you
Yes,
have
absolutely.
foundation issues, things like that. And that was just one small, is about a 12-foot section of gutter
Hmm.
that could have caused all those issues.
Right.
So,
Compound issues, what we call it, because it
yeah,
just one thing leads to another. So,
right. So I don't know. That's what I think is important. But let's get into a little bit about you.
all right.
So, you have an interesting schedule, or at least I think it's interesting because I wouldn't do it. But kind of give us a breakdown of your day and how all that goes.
Well, I don't know. My dad always says, I don't know how you do it. I'm an early riser. I was up at 3:45 this morning.
Mhm.
I get up, sit in a hot tub. I read. Of course, I Facebook and do all the scrolling,
Yeah, I
waste my
usually
life.
wake up at 6 to 4 or 5 or more
Right, right.
videos or things
Yeah,
like that
exactly.
you
I'm
sent
like,
me.
oh, Colin will appreciate this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure your wife appreciates the phone dinging too. Hopefully.
No, it's on silent.
Yeah,
I've
there you
learned
go.
to, yeah, it's on silent.
Good.
'Cause
So, and then usually I get up and go to the gym, 5:30, somewhere in there, come back. And then just depending on my timing, I'll take Allie to school, and then I'll show up to
Mhm.
the office, by 7:30 or so.
Yeah.
And then, do it all over again each day. So,
So, why do you think, for you, that early morning get up, get going, kind of, how does that help you, or what's the benefit of that for you?
I just feel like when I have clarity and you can sit and you can, I wouldn't call it meditate, but I do pray, and
Mhm.
I try to evaluate my day, what I could do different, how I can improve on things, how other people can help grow, and then, by watching some of these videos and stuff that I send you, a lot of them are, success things. A lot of them are
Mhm.
business type videos. Obviously I've got to
Yeah.
throw some funny stuff in there once in a while. But for the most part, I feel like two things you should be spending your money on: your business or yourself, your personal growth.
Mhm.
And, both of those things are very, very important because you only have one life, and why not, try to be the best person for everybody around you as well as yourself, your family, I'm just a big proponent on reading, self-help if you want to have it. I'm not a novel reader. I'm not I'm just not that guy. But at the same time, there's so many books out there that I feel like, in fact, one of the books I gave my wife when we were first dating, she thought it was kind of cultish. Talking of cults,
I know which one you're getting ready to mention. You try to give it to everybody, which makes it kind of cultish.
Because I feel like it is so, it can be life-changing. One page can, and what's great is my wife was going through a couple things at work today, and she said she opened that book up and read, just opened it up and read a page out of it, and her whole day changed. So to me, again, it's kind of the idea of, there's these little things that are provided in life for us to, to have as tools, and why not, try
and
to
that
do
book is The Secret.
The Secret by Robin Byrne. Yes.
Yeah. Which it's pretty well known, I think, at this point.
Is, yeah.
And a lot of people have read it and everything. Whenever I first started working at Freedom, you had given me a copy of it.
You used it for paperweight, probably.
Yeah, for a little while, and then I did read it. And I'm the same way. My wife she doesn't understand how, like, I'm not a fiction person. I want to learn something. I want to.
If I'm going to read, I want it to be beneficial. Not just,
So that's kind of how I am. And she's like, I don't know how you stay interested. It's like, well, I read about interesting
topics,
topics that I want to learn about. But I remember reading The Secret, and I remember the first chapter, I was like, what has it gotten me into?
That's what everybody. I think they do that on purpose, trying to get your interest spiked a little bit. Like, what am I reading here?
But a few years ago, I had a good friend of mine, John Brake, mentioned to me, we were reading a book, and I was just like, I get it. I get what it's trying to say and everything, but it's just not really like the life that I live. I don't feel like I can fully live this type of lifestyle and everything. And he goes, it's not necessarily saying that you have to live exactly how they're telling you to. That's what worked for them. But you could take certain pieces from this and you can apply it to your life to kind of better it. So with The Secret, I'm sure that doesn't mean you have to, fully go into the cult side of things, if you want to call it that. But there are probably certain things from that you could take, like what your wife actually did today. There's one sentence or something from that book that she was like, okay, that actually helped me today.
Right.
And so I think that that's important as we're reading through books.
And I think that no matter how many times you read it, it may mean something different to you depending on what you're going through in life.
Yeah.
If different stage in life, with kids, without kids, lost a loved one, whatever it means to you.
Well, look how many different translations the Bible.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's another thing. I feel like people that don't know where to start with the Bible, I always say read Proverbs. I mean, 31 chapters, a chapter a day, and you can read the whole book and the whole chapter, in 1 month. But it, to me, is it's like the do's and don'ts of life, really.
Yeah.
And it's so many things that it can change just by your mindset, by going, oh man, the little slap on the wrist, little reminder, all the things,
You're not wrong with it, though. I mean, it's 100% true. So why do we have to start our day with the hot tub and the workout?
Well, but I feel like it's a lifestyle. It's, I want to live a healthy life. I want to live a mentally healthy life as well as physically. And I do feel like routines are very good for you. A lot of people that don't know where to begin. I've actually started writing a book. Probably won't go into a lot of it right now, but part of it is if you don't know what to do with yourself, if you don't even know how to get started, just make your bed and brush your teeth. And then you've accomplished something.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that you can say, hey, I've accomplished that. Now what? Let's move on to the next thing. That's the simple things. Making your bed is one of the easiest things you can do. Not everybody does it. Not everybody likes to do it. My wife definitely doesn't like the way I do it. But the fact that I do it every time is just more the fact that it's a system. It's a a routine that gets you started.
Yeah.
And you can physically say, "Hey, I've accomplished something already. Now what?"
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And then you just go on to, I mean, a lot of the self-help books and everything, that's one of the things that they mention is, start your day by accomplishing something, even as simple as making your bed. And then it just kind of helps throughout the rest of the day. So how do mornings like that, or that routine that you've kind of built, how does that help you in the construction world, in that professional world?
well, I feel like you have to take time for yourself.
Mhm.
And again, it's like anything. If I'm going to go out to a job site and my ladder's broken, well, if my leg's broken, I'm not going to be able to climb that ladder.
Mhm.
Same thing. If you don't have good health, you are a tool for whatever you do. And
Yeah.
if you don't have good health, then it's like having bad tools. It's like, needing
Mhm.
to sharpen the saw, like,
Right.
all of the, the parodies that you can think of, all of the, it's literally just that easy is, if you don't feel good, are you really going to be optimizing yourself all the way?
Yeah. And, I think in professional life, there's that aspect to it, but then just being a husband and a father, it contributes to that as well. I remember early on, in my wife's and I relationship, we had already had Easton, our oldest, and she asked me, she goes, "Why do you run? Why do you like do this every day? Or why do you put yourself through that pain every day?" I'm like, I want to be able to, when he's older, I want to be able to play basketball with him, and I want to be able to make sure he knows that his dad could still beat him
Right. That's
while
right.
playing
You got
basketball.
to.
And here I am. I just turned 36 last week, and Easton is now a junior in high school. And just yesterday, I was running with the high school cross country team. I was still able to. I was breathing harder yesterday because I've taken time off for an injury, but I was still able to run with them
Right.
and everything, and keep up with them. And a lot of that is because I stayed devoted to making sure I was just taking
Right.
care of
Right.
myself and sharpening that tool, and just, I don't know, I just had that kind of like insight into the future of, I want to make sure I can show up for my kids and for my wife and still continue to do these things the older I get. And then today online, I see an article that an 84-year-old man just ran a sub 4-hour marathon. And I'm like, why can't I do that? I
Well, you
probably won't
probably
be able
can.
to. I don't know. But, well, like, yeah, now, but not at 84. I mean, just how old did you say your dad was?
83.
83. So I just imagine, your
Right.
dad trying to
Right.
go out, and it's incredible. But I think we limit the human body a lot, and it's capable of a lot more as long as we continue to work at it and sharpen that tool, as you
Right.
as you were saying.
Right. Well, and the big thing is, the discipline behind it, even, people don't see all the hard work that goes into it. At the end, they say, oh, well, he must have good genetics, or maybe he, you know what I mean? They
Yeah.
don't always see all the hard work that goes into it. And that's like any business. A lot of people don't see behind the scenes. They don't know the stresses you go through. They don't know the struggles you go through.
Yeah.
But, if you, nobody wants to be mentally just beat up all the time. So you have to take these times for yourself. You have to, build your body back up, keep it healthy, all of the things. It doesn't matter if you work for yourself or if you work for a business, or, it's just basically the whole thing is like we're talking about. It's a mindset of health and just being on the right track.
So let's get into the leadership of things a little bit. I've worked in multiple industries. I've worked for multiple people, different type of people. I'd worked with Freedom years ago. I left Freedom because I was trying to chase the money, which is what we're told in society is how you win, and how you become happy in life. And, you know, it was good for a little while. And then obviously now I'm back at Freedom. And something that's just stuck with me all on the way is you as a leader. Whenever I was stepping away the first time, you had mentioned, I was afraid you're going to be upset because I was going into the construction industry. It was kind of a little bit of a different side of what you guys were doing.
Similar
Yeah.
product and style or stuff that we were doing.
I was really worried about bringing it up to you because I'm like, he's gonna think that, you know, I'm competition, and I'm just, you know, going after, you know, his clients and stuff like that. And I'll never forget, you were like, hey, I want you to succeed.
Right.
So you're like, anything I can do to help you do that, I'm here to help you.
I do feel that. I mean, no matter what, like anybody that basically, I feel like comes to our door, I want to be a mentor. I want to be I wouldn't say a stepping stone, you know, but I definitely want, you know, my business isn't about, you know, keeping someone down so, you know, I can do whatever I want to do. It's about, you know, lifting everybody up. And I feel like that's our job in society, is to do what's successful and then teach others to do the same thing, and then help them along the way, and you know, to grow people mentally, physically, and to just, you know, see the rewards of that. So,
but because of that mentality and because of what you had said to me, I stepped away. I started my own company. It did well. Things happened. We sold the company to you. And then I came back.
Big roundabout.
Yeah. And then I came back over to Freedom, and I could have stepped that door and you could be like, no, like you walked away, you made your choice. No, I don't want you back. And you were like, welcome. And I had a different perspective when I walked back in, because I went from just wondering, being the marketing guy that was wondering, why won't you give me money to do this stuff? Like, you told me to market, give me the money so I could do it, to understanding, oh, we got to do all of this to make the money to be able to do that. And so there's a more understanding there because you allowed me to branch out and to do my own thing, and you supported that thing. And now I was able to bring that back in to Freedom, and it's just going to help your company grow even more.
It strengthens both of us, honestly, because you've had the experience, and now you see the flip side, and then you probably come at it with a whole different mindset than you did from the beginning. So
yeah. I mean, I still probably spend your money.
Yes, you do.
But there's a lot more thought that goes into it this time. Instead of just being like, let's try this, let's try this, let's try this. Just because I was able to go out there and learn, you know, it just because it's somebody else's money doesn't mean it's just that easy for them to give it to you. They have to earn it just as much as you're trying to earn it.
It's like your children. Hey, can we stop for a coffee? Well, you gonna pay for it? Well, no. Where's it gonna come from?
Yeah,
you know.
But on the other side of that, I also have the thought of, I am spending his money and I am doing this thing, so I want to make sure that it does work. And so it just made me work even harder to make sure all of this is working correctly.
And I feel like we've made a lot of changes in the last 2 years as well, you know, forward motion. And I know, you know, things don't happen overnight. That's the same thing with working out. You know, you can't go to the gym one time and not see, you know, changes and then just quit. Right. You just have to, it's the discipline behind it.
No matter how much people want that to happen.
I know.
It doesn't work like that. There's still
no
magic
pill somewhere.
GLPs are close, but we're not there yet. No, so there's no magic pill.
Dang it.
Quite yet. So
we're still looking.
Yeah. So outside of Freedom and everything, you kind of went on a new adventure this year. I want to talk about that a little bit as we kind of start to close this out. Why don't you get into the Freedom Global insurance side of things, and then the whiskey tango, you'll have to get into that a little bit.
Okay.
But, it's a unique, it's specialty insurance.
It is a specialty insurance. So one of my friends and I have teamed up. He's been doing this for 26 years, and the insurance are mostly for high risk things. If, let's say, you're a doctor, We can do high risk disability, like on your hands. So if anything ever happens and you can't practice, your job basically, like any insurance, it covers.
Yeah.
Like if you're an NBA star, we can underwrite athletes,
Yeah.
professional athletes, for certain things as well. And
And it
then
sounds like dentists, surgeons, things like
dentists,
that.
surgeons,
Anybody.
they
Mhm.
call it high income earners,
Mhm.
basically, because because a lot of insurance will only pay up to or only underwrite up to a certain amount, and then
Yeah.
ours is over and above that, because a lot of times, as a dentist or a doctor, you live a certain lifestyle, and the insurances aren't the same,
Mhm.
that would continue on your lifestyle if something happens. So,
Right.
and then the other is, like if you're traveling overseas, it's just a travel insurance, but it's if your child's going on a mission trip, or
Mhm.
a church is going on a mission trip, we have specialty insurances for travel protection for that specifically.
Yeah.
And then if you're living abroad, working abroad, going to school abroad, anything to do with overseas travel, it's a coverage that we offer. Super easy to get a quote on, and just have to go to the website basically. And then the other you're talking about, it's called Whiskey Zulu Charlie,
There you go.
which basically is war zone contractors, military terms, war zone contractors. And that is if you're going overseas, if you're
I have to pause for a second. I'm pretty sure you just said a few cuss words in military
right,
language.
yeah,
But
you could if you take it that way.
yeah.
Yeah, no foobarred here, but yeah. But the idea is, it's an insurance again for specialty
Mhm.
contractors, anybody going overseas to teach, or if you're a journalist going into, we call it war zone, but it could be a high risk areas. Doesn't
Gotcha.
necessarily have to be a war zone, but right now, there's several types of contractors that are going overseas and helping to rebuild these cities, and in these country areas that are still considered high risk.
Mhm.
And so they have to carry certain insurances to be able to even go. And these insurances are what we carry in a group setting.
Mhm.
Like, we're the only ones in the United States that can put a group policy together. You don't have to shop 6 different underwriters. We can bulk all of these needed insurances into one and offer it as a plan. Saves them money, saves them hassle and time.
Mhm.
Just makes life a lot easier. So
Yeah. So this is a difficult kind of insurance. We're not just talking, about if you were to go over there and get shot or something. I mean, there's a lot more that gets kind of broken down into this. Can you get into some of the kind of scary
well, sure.
sides of this
I
that
mean,
make it, more of that specialty type?
well, specifically, they'll get you to an American speaking hospital.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what's going on. Um, if there is a death, they'll make sure your body or your remains get shipped back.
Mm-hmm.
Terrorism, if there's an act of terrorism while you're over there and you get affected by it, or kidnapping and ransom,
Mm-hmm.
all of these, and as well as health insurance
Mm-hmm.
in general, just having a health insurance, all of these are needs that they have to have to
Right.
even be considered to go overseas to
Yeah.
do these contracts.
I think a lot of things that just aren't thought about when you're traveling abroad and stuff like that. You just,
Absolutely.
I'm going to go, I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to come home. But it's something that definitely has to
Mm-hmm.
be thought about in
Well,
some of the areas that people are
well,
going.
yeah, even going to Cancun or somewhere, a lot of people, are safe, Jamaica, but we
Mm-hmm.
all have heard stories of
Mm-hmm.
something happening, and for little to no money, you can get a travel policy that just protects. It's again the same thing, getting you to an American speaking doctor, or some of these things like that that will, just ease your mind. So if you break
Yeah.
a leg somewhere, you're not, left to, wonder how am I going to get this fixed and is it going to be proper? So,
Yeah. So what is one piece of advice? You've started businesses, you've had a business for 35 years now. What is a piece of advice you would give to a startup or a young kid that wants to start his own company? What's that big piece that's like, this is what you got to have?
there's a lot to that question. That's a loaded question because I watch this guy on YouTube and he's always asking that question and everybody has a different answer. I would say faith first. And that's probably one of my biggest ones is just having faith in God. A lot of people say universe or higher being, whatever. I have faith in God, but at the same time, you have to put out there what you're trying to do in the world and not be the person that's trying to tear things down and only be for themselves. Because I feel like that is just a recipe for failure. If you're only trying to do whatever's right for yourself, then other people aren't going to want to come along.
Yeah. So. Eventually it might go well for a second, but eventually it'll all kind of come crashing down. Because it was a selfish endeavor at the beginning, instead of like what you were saying, trying to build people up. The more you build people up, the more they're going to help build you up.
Absolutely.
Right? So I agree wholeheartedly with that one, and something that you have kind of taught me with that, and something I continue to try to grow with. We're just talking about with the cross country team and everything, with the boy, I'm like, there's a difference between competition and healthy competition. And me and one of the coaches, we were talking about this the other day. And I was like, if somebody beats me, I don't hate that person. If somebody does better than me, I don't hate that person. I look to that and I say, okay, what are they doing that I need to be doing, or what is something that I need to grow in to get there? But I view it as a challenge. I don't try to tear them down. I don't try to bring them down to me. I look at it as a way to lift myself up to get to that level, and then to try to exceed that level from that point. And I was like, a lot of our kids, it's a lot of, just stay with me because this is comfortable.
Right.
Being here is comfortable. The growth part, the getting better part, that's the uncomfortable part of it.
That's right. Well, and the saying is basically, if you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. And that could be spiritually, healthy, mentally, any of that. And I believe that 100%. And we all get complacent in life. I'll do the gym tomorrow. And I do it. But I also know to self-check myself and then to jump back in and ramp up when I need to ramp up. And,
and that's when the self-motivation comes in. And, I think some people have it, some people don't, but the people that don't, I promise you, self-motivation can be developed. It's not just something you don't have.
Right,
you can
absolutely.
develop it. Again, it's just a hard thing to overcome, but you can. And you just have to keep working at it. But good things don't come easy.
That's what.
I mean, that's...
You work and you do it and get up and do it again. So
yeah. But once we become complacent, like what you were saying, that's when everything just kind of falls into that rut and it's just kind of a standstill.
Right.
I think so many are just kind of stuck.
Wow, yeah.
Right there. And
I know,
this is just life. We're just here to survive. It's like, no.
Right.
If that person can do it, if that person can grow to be an Olympic athlete and everything else, or this person can grow to be a billionaire, or whatever it is, why can't I?
Right.
And that's kind of a view I've always had of it's just step by step.
It's just mindset. And then again, that leads right back to what we're talking about. It's mindset. And mindset is huge because it means the difference of getting off the couch or staying where you're at.
Yeah. And please don't stay where you're at.
Exactly.
We don't need a bunch of complacent people. We have too many already.
Right.
So get up and let's grow and let's try to build something pretty cool together.
That's right. So, I like it. Live healthy and move on.
There you go. Darin, thank you a lot for everything that you do. You're our main sponsor. We would not
All
be
right.
able to do this without you and Freedom Home Crafters. I thank you for the years of mentorship that you have given me, and I hope that, I don't know, I've accidentally taught you
Right.
something along the
That's
way as
right.
well.
That's right. It
But
usually
most,
has to do with, the generational.
yeah. But most importantly, thank you for friendship and just, being a part of my life. So
I appreciate
really
you too.
appreciate it.
Thanks, Colin.